9:16, welcome back to the morning show with Jeff and Will here on AM 1700 WRCR, Haverstraw, WRCR.com. And joining us now for her regular weekly segment, it is Tina Traster of the Rockland County Business Journal. Find that at rcbizjournal.com on the internets. Good morning, Tina. How are you doing?
Good morning, everybody in Rockland land. How is everybody?
We're great. How are you?
I'm great. Let's talk about the state of the county, which was the speech delivered this past week by our county executive, Ed Day, and I will recap some of the highlights that we heard and learned and integrate some analysis along the way. We learned that the county is under some financial pressure due to inflation. We are all feeling that inflation. The cost of everything is up, and why that's important is because the sales tax revenue, which is one of the county's main sources of revenue, has been flat and has actually started to decline from 2022. So as these inflationary pressures continue, it will be harder to offset these costs. Right now, despite the pressures, the county has been able to deliver its second annual tax reduction of about 2% on the county taxes. That is a nod to the county management and, of course, not to mention the influx of the federal ARPA money, which has certainly helped all around. Unemployment in the county hovers under 3%, 2.9%. Which is below the state and national averages, and that's cheerful news. But, of course, that is tempered by the pressure that we have here on workers being able to afford the high cost of housing and the lack of affordable housing options, which is something we talk about constantly on this segment. That news, though, isn't all terrible because the county, we wrote a story not long ago. The county introduced a revolving loan fund called HALO, which is short for Housing Action Loan Opportunity, which has set aside $13.5 million to developers for short-term loans that, when repaid, will go back to the fund and will get loaned out again and again. Now, those loans are for 4 different developments, 2 of which we have been writing about in the village of Haverstraw. That's the Chair Factory, and another one called West Hab. We've been writing extensively about those projects because collectively those would bring about 400 affordable units to the village of Haverstraw. Both of those projects are moving forward, though they still have the obstacle of Howard Phillips and his reluctance to approve a pilot. But both of those developers are committed to their projects. They have support from the village, the county, the school board, and so we'll have to see what happens with that obstacle. Recognizing, of course, that affordable housing is at a crisis level here, the county has dedicated the long empty Sane building in New City as a potential site for redevelopment for affordable housing. No details yet. That's really probably off into the future, but at least it's earmarked for affordable housing. So that would bring some affordable housing to Clarkstown, and also going back to the HALO grants, one of those 4 grants also went to a developer who was planning on about 50 units on Middletown Road, and we're going to be writing about that actually this week. So that's another, batch of affordable housing in the county. In other news, the county touted savings from various departments, including the highway department, the transportation department, the insurance department, all helping to control costs in these times when inflationary pressures are bearing down. And Ed Day also reminded us, as he does every year, how important tourism is to the county and the financial benefits derived from the sales tax revenue. This year, he reminded us that but for tourism dollars, taxes would pay an additional $618 a year, if not for the for the taxes that we get from tourism targets. And this year, the county awarded, as we have reported, $316,000 in tourism grants to about 30 different entities that help to attract people from outside the county to come here and see what we have to offer. We also learned that the county is undertaking a revision of this is very important, of its comprehensive plan, which is roughly 15 years old. The committees are being formed now. As I understand, there will be 25 people, I think it is, who will be 15, 25, having a memory glitch there. I think it's 25 people are going to be sitting on this citizen and professional committee. Don't know who they've picked just yet. That will be interesting to see who made the list. As you know, the county is 4,200 housing units short for residents earning less than $60,000 per year. And the hope is that the comprehensive plan is going to address this deficit. Again, speaking of affordable housing. That data comes from the county's own housing needs assessment, which was prepared by the Hudson Valley Pattern for Progress about a year ago. So the comprehensive plan is very significant, and I think we're going to probably take a look at what was hoped for 15 years ago and try to assess what's been accomplished before we monitor what is going to be targeted as the future priorities. Let's see. So we, of course, are hearing the news nationally that measles is breaking out. That is the worst news. Nobody wants that. The county has dealt with that before, and they do a pretty good job with that. Ed Day reminded us that school vaccinations are being closely monitored and that the county is offering free vaccinations to people who are uninsured. This is really important. We've lived through a pandemic. This county has lived through measles outbreaks, and we all know how compromising that can be. So
we had a polio situation not long ago also.
I know. I mean, come on. These are diseases that were eradicated. We really, we're controlled. We don't need to be dealing with this. Life's hard enough. So yeah, get vaccinated. And vaccinate your children for measles. And then my favorite always is open space. The county mentioned that it had added to its inventory of open space last year, preserving over 300 acres. Yay, that's very good news. Recent acquisitions include the 32-acre Depew Farm on Old Route 304 in New City, and there are plans afoot to acquire, which we recently reported on, 21 acres on top of Old Stone Road in Valley Cottage, and that acquisition would actually enable a rerouting of the Long Path, which is something that hikers and environmentalists have long been hoping to accomplish for many years. So open space is good for the environment. It's good. Hello?
Yep.
Did you have a question?
No, I did not. There's no question that preserving open space is awesome.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard some chatter. Yeah. So yeah.
It is a talk show.
Space,
sorry.
Okay. So open space is great. I mean, we worry about building and overdevelopment and density, and certainly with the proliferation of these really enormous warehouses, it is worrisome in terms of the kind of coverage that we lose. So any effort to preserve open space is a great thing. And then just some other roundup of highlights. that Day mentioned were included that the county's providing free tour bus service for the fifth year in a row through state and federal funding, so that's not costing us anything. The Office of Fire and Emergency Services, the HEROES program, which is in its third year, provided $230,000 in tuition reimbursement to volunteer emergency responders. That's a great program. Let's see what else. The Department of Consumer Protection recovered $55,000 in refunds for victimized consumers. Good. The Probation Department secured nearly $80,000 in restitution for 300 crime victims. That's good too. And the Veterans Service Agency secured $2.5 million in additional benefits for our veterans. And finally, another favorite is that they distributed $10 million in ARPA grants to enhance more than 24 parks, playgrounds, and community gardens. So, a pretty good year, all in all. Impressive amount of accomplishments. I think we're just watching inflation because that's, of course, worrying. So we'll have to see, where the economy goes from there.
All that being said, Tina, is there any indication that any of those programs or cuts or future purchases of green open space and the grants that often the money is derived from, is there any indication that any of that is in jeopardy because of what's going on at the federal level with Elon Musk and all that?
I would say no right now. I think that we're okay for right now. A lot of this is earmarked, and I don't think they're going to be reaching down into this sort of minutia. But we will certainly be tracking that for sure. I mean, these are I think the bigger problem that we're seeing is this kind of, just mass slaughter of employment, across the government agencies. So I think what we're really gauging and watching is the efficiency or inefficiency at the government agencies at the federal level. I mean, are veterans going to start having a problem? Are people receiving Social Security, going to start finding that things have, that there are glitches or that they can't get in touch with people? I think that's genuinely what we're worried about right now. But the truth is that all of these attempts to do away with these federal funding are being blocked in courts. So it's more about just tying up the system and making it it's chaos is what it is. So we'll have to just track it because we don't know yet. So far we still wake up in the country that we know, but I think that the anxiety level is through the roof. I think that's the biggest problem. I mean, this is a crazy theory, but have you noticed that there were a lot of car accidents in the last few weeks? And I was thinking, I don't know, maybe people are just nervous and anxious and distracted.
I wouldn't say I've noticed more car accidents. I have noticed there are a lot of more plane incidents that are happening, there are people who are directly attributing that to cuts at the FAA and in air traffic control.
I know there was another small plane crash in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Where plane came out of the sky and injured several people, and I don't even know.
It crashed into a retirement community.
I know.
Yeah.
It's called Brethren Village, and I actually know exactly where that is because I've spent time literally right in that area in the last few years. So very disturbing because, a small plane like that does not rely on air traffic control. But you've got to wonder if there's, like a lack of efficiency, with flight scheduling and flight planning. Yeah, I mean, we can't afford to toy with systems that work. They work. There's a reason that they work, and they if you're going to tear down a government or any kind of government, you have to do it slowly and thoughtfully. So this kind of like mass, like this sort of massacre of employment is just not working, and that's bearing itself out. So But nothing like that in the county. I think, we have a pretty steady hand on the wheel here with our county executive, and, everybody gets up and goes to work and does what they're supposed to do. So far, I think actually the only concerning thing right now would be a measles outbreak. That's one thing that concerns me.
We are keeping our eye on that indeed. Thank you very much for your time. As always, Tina Traster, the editor of rcbizjournal.com. Just go to rcbizjournal.com. You can sign up for email newsletters, read news that she's posting every single day of the week. Thank you, Tina. Have a great week.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.